EU5 is a rather opaque game with lots of little features and mechanics. So today I'm going to list 5 that you probably aren't aware of. If you are aware of all of them, make sure to write a comment calling me a fool, and maybe even listing a mechanic of your own. To start with, spy networks. Spy networks decrease time between siege ticks, which I'm sure you're already aware of. They also reduced the effects of antagonism on the nation in question. Next, when you click on a country and go to the country tab, there is this little hourglass here. If you hover over it, it reveals the unique advancements that country has access to, as well as the focus they picked for each age, though unfortunately it doesn't tell you whether they've currently researched the focus advancements. As we can see here, France has once again gone military in the Age of Renaissance. If you find that you have too many vassals and they've become deeply disloyal due to their combined strength, one of the actions you can take is to sell vassals to each other. In this way, you remove the vassal out from under yourself and place them under your vassal's control. This isn't foolproof, obviously, as the vassal will now be under the control of the other vassal. You want to make sure you give them to someone who's actually strong enough to handle them, like giving a small vassal to a large one to manage instead of giving a large vassal to a small vassal. Or you risk them forming an independence movement against your vassal. But in this way you can dilute the power of your vassals by handing them out to each other to manage, leaving your vassal to integrate in their new vassal, and once you integrate the larger nation, you'll regain the vassals you've given to them if they don't integrate them first. Now, court languages have a few different modifiers based on their characteristics. If the language is the common language of your culture, you gain a bonus to peasant estate satisfaction and cultural influence. If your court language matches the language in your capital, you also gain a selling efficiency bonus. If the language is also used by your religion as its primary language, you gain a bonus to institution growth and cleric estate satisfaction. If a language is powerful, that being has over 50% power, then you also gain a bonus to the noble estate satisfaction. But if your court language is neither your common language nor your religious language, you gain a malice to every estate satisfaction. Having a different court language to your common language also gives you access to the language of pleading laws, which you can use to gain a little bit of a buff to either peasants or nobles satisfaction and your cultural tradition or cultural influence and free subjects and serfdom. For that reason, it's quite often a good idea to switch to Latin as your court language as a European, because you can receive the benefits from Latin being your religious language. Latin is usually quite powerful as well, and it doesn't take much to push it to that 50% power for the noble benefit, and you can gain access to the language of pleading for even more benefit from it. The cost of court can be a real drain on your economy, but if you can stack modifiers that provide legitimacy, you can completely negate the costs, making the cost of court free. So make sure to keep an eye out for anything that provides passive growth to your legitimacy, because every single one reduces costs, and if you acquire enough, the costs become 0. Capitulation is also a system in EU5. If a nation reaches 20 war exhaustion, they will capitulate, giving you full occupation of their land, allowing you to do with them as you please. Another way to achieve capitulation is to get 100% war score against the nation in question. For example, when I attack Byzantium, I like to take war goals that require gaining supremacy via battles instead of sieging. That way, killing enough Byzantium soldiers can let you hit that 100% war score, in which case Byzantium will capitulate without you even having to set foot on Constantinople. The massive amount of mercenaries the AI uses in the current version of the game actually are beneficial after a point, because killing so many mercenaries really increases that war exhaustion, making it so you can force nations to hit the cap after only a few battles. Alright, there's our 5 tips. Although, here's one more. You can use the mouse wheel on your sliders in the economic screen to increase and decrease them. Not very useful to know, but now you know. Thank you for watching this video. I do hope at least one of these tips or mechanics was something you weren't aware of, which you can now engage with. If not, I do apologise. And if there's another mechanic that you think is secret and not well known, feel free to share it in the comments. I hope you have a good day, and I'll see you next time.